The countdown has already begun, and September 15th, 2025 may be remembered as the day everything changes. The warning signs are all around us: supply chains crumbling under pressure, food trucks arriving half empty, and grocery stores quietly raising prices week after week. You've probably noticed it yourself. Smaller packages, higher costs, and more out-of-stock signs than ever before. But here's the truth most people don't want to face. Once the panic begins, once the headlines scream shortage and fear takes over, those shelves will not just look empty, they will be stripped bare in hours, and when that moment comes, there will be no second chances. Most people will keep telling themselves they have time. They'll wait, they'll shrug it off. And then when the chaos breaks, they'll realize too late that survival doesn't wait for anyone. Hunger doesn't wait. Desperation doesn't wait. The only question is, when that day arrives, will you be one of the desperate or one of the prepared? In this video, I'm going to reveal the 15 survival foods you must secure before September 15th. Watch until the very end, because this list could mean the difference between feeding your family or watching them go hungry. When protein-packed lifeline, survival beans. When the shelves go bare and your stomach gnaws with hunger, one of the few foods that can truly save you is beans. Not the fancy gourmet kind, but the humble canned bean sitting quietly in the corner of every supermarket aisle. What makes them so terrifyingly important? They're cheap, they're everywhere, and they contain the very nutrients your body will scream for when food runs out: protein, fiber, and minerals that keep you alive when everything else collapses. Here's the dark reality. Once supply chains break down, fresh produce will rot in days, meat will vanish within hours, and dairy won't even survive a week. But canned beans, they last for years. They sit quietly in your cupboard, waiting ready to be cracked open in an instant. When others are fighting for scraps, you'll be able to open a can and eat directly without cooking, saving you precious fuel and energy. And the best part: variety. Black beans, kidney beans, garbanzos, lentils, pinto. You can rotate them and avoid the food fatigue that breaks down morale in long-term crises. Mix them with rice, stir them into soups, or just eat them cold. They are survival in its purest form. But here's the danger. During every major disaster, beans are among the first items to disappear. They are filling, they are long-lasting, and they are cheap enough that people buy them by the dozen. If you're not ahead of the rush, you won't get any. Imagine walking into a store the morning of September 15th, thinking you'll grab a few cans, only to see empty shelves and nothing but dust where food should be. That moment will crush you. Stock up now, while you still have time, or be prepared to go hungry. 2. Carbohydrate armor, crisis pasta. If beans are survival's protein, then pasta is the carbohydrate armor that keeps you moving when the world grinds to a halt. Don't be fooled into thinking pasta is just comfort food. It's not. It's survival fuel. It's calories in compact, affordable form, and in a collapse scenario, calories are everything. One single bag of pasta can create multiple meals. It fills your stomach, restores your energy, and keeps you on your feet when panic and starvation cripple the unprepared. Unlike fresh food, which spoils fast, pasta stored in dry, sealed containers can sit for years, waiting for the moment you need it most. When the shelves are stripped bare, those who stockpiled pasta will have the strength to endure while others crumble from exhaustion. Pasta's greatest strength is its versatility. Add beans, olive oil, or powdered milk, and suddenly you have a filling, nutrient-packed dish that stretches your supplies further than you thought possible. Even in bleak times, pasta can transform bland, repetitive survival diets into meals that keep morale alive. In a survival situation, morale can be as important as nutrition. Without it, people give up. Pasta keeps hope alive. But let's not sugarcoat the truth. Pasta is one of the fastest disappearing foods during panic buying. We've seen it before. Global disruptions hit, and within hours, entire pasta aisles are stripped bare. Do you think you'll just stroll into a supermarket on September 15th and grab a bag? Think again. By then, the desperate rush will already be underway. Those who wait will find nothing. If you fail to secure pasta now, you're putting your family at the mercy of hunger. This isn't a matter of convenience, it's survival. Stockpile pasta today, because tomorrow it may not exist. 3. Morale bread, the food of civilization. Bread has been with humanity for thousands of years. Wars have been fought over wheat, civilizations have risen and fallen because of grain harvests. And in the looming crisis, bread will once again prove itself to be the food of survival. It's filling, it's comforting, and it's one of the first foods people instinctively reach for when disaster strikes. But here's the problem. Fresh bread is fragile. Within days, it spoils. Mold takes over. That loaf you thought would last you a week is suddenly useless. This is why preparing alternatives is not just smart. It's essential. Long-life bread, vacuum-sealed loaves, flour for baking, or even stockpiles of yeast and dry ingredients. These are the differences between eating or starving when the collapse deepens. Bread isn't just about calories, it's about morale. In chaos, the mind craves normalcy, and nothing feels more familiar, more stabilizing than a piece of bread. Pair it with beans, with honey, with oil, it stretches small meals into something filling. It calms fear. It feeds not only the body but the spirit. And make no mistake, hunger crushes both. The danger? Bread will vanish immediately. Supermarkets will be flooded with panic buyers grabbing loaf after loaf. Bakeries will fall behind. Flour shortages will strike. And without flour, there is no bread. Imagine standing in line with your children, stomachs empty, only to watch the last loaf taken from the shelf right before your eyes. That is the future for those who delay. If you don't already have a plan for bread, you're gambling with survival. Learn to bake, stock up on flour, and secure long-lasting bread products before September 15th. Because when crisis hits, bread will not be food. It will be power. 4. Dairy dust. Powdered milk. When fresh dairy vanishes, and it will vanish faster than almost anything else, powdered milk becomes priceless. Think about it. Milk normally spoils within days. Refrigeration won't save you if the power grid fails, but powdered milk stored correctly lasts years. It is light, portable, and can instantly be turned into a source of nutrition that your body and especially your children's bodies will desperately need. Milk isn't just a drink, it's protein, calcium, vitamins, and fat. Without it, bones weaken, immune systems falter, and the youngest or oldest members of your family suffer the most. In a collapse, people forget about nutrition until it's too late. They focus on filling their stomachs, not realizing they're stripping their bodies of the essentials they need to keep going. Powdered milk bridges that gap. It isn't just about drinking either. Add it to bread dough, mix it into soups, stir it into pasta. It turns basic meals into nutrient-rich survival fuel. It can even be used in desserts, providing rare comfort when the world outside feels like it's falling apart. Now, here's the terrifying truth. Dairy is always one of the first sections raided during panic buying. People instinctively rush to grab milk, cheese, butter, but in a crisis, those foods spoil before they can even be consumed. By the time they realize powdered milk is the real prize, the shelves are already stripped bare. If you fail to prepare, your family may go without one of the most critical nutrition sources in existence. Powdered milk is survival in a bag, but only for those who are wise enough to stock it before September 15th. After that, you'll be fighting with thousands of others for whatever crumbs remain. 5. Liquid survival fuel, olive oil. Forget fancy labels. Forget gourmet cooking. In a survival scenario, olive oil becomes liquid survival fuel. A single bottle holds more than just flavor. It holds life, packed with calories and healthy fats. Olive oil gives you the dense energy your body craves when food is scarce. When hunger sets in, calories matter more than taste, and oil delivers them in spades. Pour it over beans or pasta, dip bread into it, or mix it into rice. It transforms bland rations into hearty, sustaining meals. Even small amounts can stretch your food supplies dramatically, keeping hunger at bay when others collapse from exhaustion. But olive oil isn't just food. It has survival uses most people don't even think about. It can act as a preservative, protecting foods from spoilage. It can replace butter and margarine, both of which will vanish instantly in a crisis. And in desperate times, oil can even be used for lamps, providing light when darkness swallows the world. Here's the scary truth. Prices are already climbing. Every economic shock sends olive oil costs skyrocketing. Once shortages worsen, shelves won't just be expensive, they'll be empty. Imagine staring at a price tag triple what you paid just months earlier, and realizing you waited too long. Olive oil is more than food. It's survival gold. Those who stockpile now will have the calories and versatility to endure. Those who don't will watch prices spiral and shelves vanish. September 15th isn't just a date, it's a deadline. And when it passes, Olive oil may be nothing but a memory. 6. Instant lifeline. Survival soups. At first glance, instant soup looks harmless. Cheap packets stacked in bulk, forgotten until someone needs a quick snack. But in a survival crisis, those little sachets transform into something far more valuable. Instant lifelines. Why? Because all they need is hot water. When fuel is scarce, when time is short, and when energy is fading fast, you won't have the luxury of cooking elaborate meals. You'll something warm, salty, and filling that takes minutes to prepare. That's exactly what instant soup delivers. But it's not just about convenience. It's about survival chemistry. Soup gives you hydration, sodium, and calories in one compact form. When stress and exhaustion ravage your body, your electrolytes drain faster than you think. Without sodium, your muscles cramp, your focus slips, and your energy vanishes. Instant soup restores what chaos steals. And then there's the morale factor. Imagine a freezing night, the streets outside filled with panic, shelves empty, neighbors restless, fear in the air. In that moment, the psychological power of a steaming bowl of soup is unmatched. It calms your nerves. It reminds you of safety. It gives you the strength to push through another day when despair is whispering in your ear. But here's the nightmare. Once panic buying begins, instant soups vanish first. They're cheap, they're lightweight, and families grab them in bulk because they know how valuable they are when everything else requires work. By the time September 15th arrives, those shelves will already be stripped bare. Stockpiling instant soup now isn't just a comfort choice, it's a survival guarantee. Fail to act, and you'll be left staring at empty shelves while others enjoy the hot meals you could have had. 7. Crisis brews. Tea and herbal infusions. Many people laugh at the idea of tea being a survival food. They imagine it's just for comfort, a luxury, a calming drink at best. But when collapse comes, tea transforms into something deadly serious, a weapon against stress, fatigue, and despair. In survival, your mind is as important as your stomach, and tea helps keep both under control. Picture the chaos: days without sleep, nights filled with fear, decisions that could mean life or death. In moments like these, black tea or green tea provides that subtle caffeine kick you need to stay sharp. Your heart beats steadier, your focus tightens, and you find the strength to act when hesitation could cost you everything. Meanwhile, herbal teas like chamomile or peppermint do the opposite. They calm your racing nerves, ease stomach pains, and help you sleep when exhaustion threatens to break you down. Tea also carries antioxidants and hydration, which become critical when clean water is scarce and stress is destroying your body from the inside. You might not realize it now, but maintaining your mental balance will be just as important as feeding your body. Tea delivers both. The frightening part: almost nobody thinks to stock up on tea. While everyone rushes for rice, pasta, and beans, those tiny boxes of tea bags sit unnoticed until it's too late. By the time people realize how valuable a calming or energizing brew is in crisis, shelves will already be empty. Tea isn't just a drink, it's sanity in a cup. Secure it now before September 15th, because when chaos rules, the smallest comforts will be worth more than gold. 8. Sweet survival, jam and fruit preserves. When survival is stripped down to beans, rice, and stale bread, your body will crave something more: sugar, energy, comfort. That's where jam becomes a weapon against despair. A single jar of jam doesn't just feed the body, it feeds the soul. Why is jam so powerful in survival? First, it's calorie-dense. Sugar is raw energy, and in times of scarcity, energy equals survival. Second, jam preserves fruit calories long-term. Fresh fruit will rot within days of supply chain collapse, but jam, thanks to its sugar content, can last months, even years if stored correctly. That makes it one of the few sweet luxuries that doubles as a survival staple. And then comes the versatility. Spread it on bread to turn a bland meal into something edible. Mix it with crackers, stir it into oats, or even pair it with nuts for a quick energy bomb. When every meal tastes the same, jam cuts through the monotony and restores morale. That psychological lift could mean the difference between giving up or fighting another day. But make no mistake, once panic buying begins, jam disappears almost instantly. Families rush for it because children can't handle starvation diets of beans and rice. Parents will grab jar after jar to keep their kids calm. By the time September 15th arrives, jars of jam will be gone, replaced by empty shelves and desperate buyers. If you don't secure your supply now, you'll regret it when you're staring at plain bread, wishing for something to break the monotony. Jam isn't just sweet, it's survival sugar, and without it, your food stockpile will feel like punishment instead of hope. 9 desperation treats, cookies and biscuits. Cookies might seem like the last thing on your survival list, but in truth, they can be one of the most powerful morale boosters when chaos surrounds you. Think about it, survival is not just about keeping your stomach full, it's about keeping your spirit alive, and a cookie, simple as it sounds, can carry more psychological power than an entire meal of bland staples. Cookies are calorie bombs. They're filled with sugar and fats, exactly what your body craves when exhaustion, stress, and fear drain your strength. Unlike fresh-baked goods, sealed cookies can last months or even years if properly stored, giving you a reliable, ready-to-eat food source when everything else requires fuel, water, and time to prepare. Now imagine this. Your children haven't smiled in days. The world outside is breaking apart. Then you hand them a cookie. That single moment of normalcy, that bite of sweetness, could stabilize their emotions and give them hope when despair is spreading like wildfire. Don't underestimate the morale boost that cookies bring, not just for kids, but for adults too. Here's the terrifying part. Cookies are among the first snacks people hoard. The moment panic buying begins, snack aisles are stripped clean. People crave comfort in chaos, and cookies provide it. If you wait until September 15th, you'll find nothing but empty shelves and crushed packaging. Stockpiling cookies now ensures you have not just calories but morale ammunition when you need it most. Because survival isn't just about living, it's about holding on to your humanity when the world forgets what that even means. 10. Energy bombs. Survival nut. If there's one food that packs survival power into the smallest package, it's nuts. These tiny shells hold dense protein, healthy fats, and calories, all the building blocks your body needs to keep moving when collapse brings everything else to a halt. Unlike meat or dairy, nuts don't need refrigeration. Stored in airtight containers, they can last months, sometimes years, and the best part, a single handful can fuel you through hours of physical or mental strain. That kind of efficiency is priceless when every bite of food matters. Nuts are also incredibly versatile. Eat them raw, roast them if you have fuel, or combine them with honey, jam, or dried fruit to create energy-packed survival snacks. They're lightweight, portable, and perfect for bug-out bags. Few foods can match their power-to-weight ratio, which makes them an essential survival tool when mobility is your only option. But here's the nightmare. During every crisis, nuts are one of the first foods to disappear. People know their value: high nutrition, long shelf life, easy to store. Prices spike instantly, making them unaffordable or simply unavailable. And when they're gone, they're gone. If you don't act before September 15th, you'll be staring at empty bins and skyrocketing price tags, wishing you'd taken action sooner. Nuts aren't just snacks, they're survival fuel compressed into bite-sized form. Secure them now, or risk losing one of the most powerful foods nature has ever provided. 11. Survival protein lifeline. Eggs. When disaster hits, one of the first things to vanish from supermarket shelves isn't just bread or milk, it's eggs. Why? Because eggs are one of the most complete, nutrient-dense foods on the planet. They're loaded with protein, healthy fats, and essential vitamins. Nutrients your body needs not just to survive, but to stay sharp, strong, and alert when everything around you is collapsing. But here's the brutal truth. Fresh eggs spoil quickly. They don't wait around for you to decide when you're hungry. That's why smart survivors prepare in advance with powdered eggs, freeze-dried eggs, or even long-life packaged eggs. These options can last for months, even years, while still delivering the same protein-packed punch as fresh eggs. Imagine having the ability to make omelets, bake bread, or fry up an energy-packed meal long after supermarkets are empty. That's not convenience, it's survival. Now think about the panic buying scene. Families flooding into stores, grabbing cartons by the dozen, supermarket staff struggling to restock, and within hours, the egg aisle looks like a war zone. Nothing left but cracked shells and empty shelves. Without eggs, people lose one of the most affordable, versatile, and irreplaceable protein sources available. And in survival, protein is not optional. Your body needs it to repair, rebuild, and fuel your brain. Without it, you'll grow weaker every day. If you wait until September 15th, you'll find nothing but empty aisles. That's why you must act now, whether it's stockpiling powdered eggs, finding preserved options, or storing fresh ones properly. When chaos begins, those who failed to prepare will be left scrambling for scraps. But you'll be cooking a meal that could mean the difference between strength and collapse. 12. The grain that feeds civilizations. Rice. Rice isn't just another food item, it's survival in its purest, most ancient form. For thousands of years, entire civilizations have relied on rice to keep their people alive through famine, war, and disaster. And when September 15th, 2025 arrives, rice will once again become the dividing line between the prepared and the desperate. Here's why. Rice is cheap, filling, and pound for pound, one of the most efficient hunger-fighting foods on Earth. One single bag can stretch into dozens of meals, keeping you alive when everything else runs dry. Stored properly in airtight containers, away from moisture, rice can last for decades. That means the bag you buy today could still feed you and your family 20 years from now. Few foods can match that kind of longevity. But rice offers another terrifying advantage in survival. It's versatile. Combine it with beans for a protein-packed powerhouse. Mix it with canned vegetables or dehydrated meats for a complete meal. Add spices, oils, or sauces, and suddenly rice transforms from plain filler to morale-boosting comfort food. And trust me, in survival, morale is as critical as calories. Eating the same bland food every day destroys your willpower, breaks your spirit, and makes you slop. Rice prevents that collapse by acting as a blank canvas you can combine with nearly anything else in your stockpile. Now picture this. The day crisis strikes. The aisles of your local supermarket stripped bare within hours. Rice is always one of the first foods people grab because everyone instinctively knows it's essential. Fights break out over the last remaining bags. Empty pallets echo in the store. Families who thought they had time now face the bitter truth. Hunger doesn't wait. If you haven't secured rice before September 15th, you'll find yourself in that nightmare. Don't wait. Stockpile rice now, because in the chaos ahead, rice won't just be food. It will be survival currency. 13. Liquid survival. Bottled water. You can live weeks without food, but only days without water. And when crisis strikes, bottled water is always the very first resource to vanish. Not bread, not milk, not even canned goods. It's water, because without it, nothing else matters. Most people today take clean water for granted. You turn on the tap and it's there. Clear, safe, endless. But that illusion will shatter the moment supply chains collapse, infrastructure fails, or contamination spreads. Suddenly, tap water could become poison, laced with bacteria, chemicals, or even viruses. And in that moment, bottled water will become more valuable than gold. Think about the reality of panic buying. People don't calmly walk in and grab a bottle or two. They load carts with entire cases, stacked high, draining the shelves in hours. You won't be able to walk in days later and grab what's left, because there won't be any left. Supermarkets won't restock fast enough. Delivery trucks won't keep up, and you'll be standing there surrounded by desperate people with nothing safe to drink. The danger is clear. Without bottled reserves, you'll be forced to gamble with your health. Maybe you boil water, maybe you risk drinking what's left from a contaminated source. But one bad choice, one sip of polluted water, could mean dehydration, sickness, or even death. If you stockpile bottled water before September 15th, you eliminate that nightmare. You guarantee your family will have what they need, no matter how bad things get. And when others are begging, borrowing, or fighting, you'll have the one resource more important than food, more important than medicine, more important than anything else. Water. Secure it now, because in survival, without water, everything else is meaningless. 14. The hidden lifeline. Dehydrated foods. When disaster strikes, food disappears. Shelves empty, trucks stop arriving, and fresh produce rots before it even makes it to the store. That's why dehydrated foods are the ultimate survival hack. The hidden lifeline that separates survivors from victims. Dehydrated foods take everything we depend on, fruits, vegetables, meats, even full meals, and strip away the moisture, leaving behind food that won't spoil for years. It's lightweight, compact, and packed with nutrition. All you need is water, and it springs back to life, giving you instant meals when the rest of the world is starving. Think about this advantage. One bag of dried vegetables has the same nutritional value as fresh produce, but lasts years instead of days. Dehydrated meats provide dense protein without refrigeration. Even better, these foods are portable. Unlike heavy cans, dehydrated meals are light enough to pack in bug-out bags if evacuation becomes necessary. You won't just be able to survive at home, you'll be able to carry survival with you. But here's the frightening reality. Once people realize how valuable dehydrated foods are, they vanish from the market almost overnight. During past crises, emergency food companies were swamped with orders they couldn't fulfill. Families were told to wait weeks, sometimes months, while shelves sat bare. And in survival, waiting means starving. If you wait until September 15th, you'll either be paying outrageous prices or left with nothing at all. But if you stockpile now, dehydrated food becomes your insurance policy against hunger. It's food that sits quietly, waiting until the day you need it most. And on that day, it may be the only thing standing between you and desperation. Don't gamble. Secure your dehydrated food supply now, before the shelves are stripped clean. 15. Nature's immortal food. Honey. Honey is more than a sweetener, it's survival in its most powerful form. Unlike almost every other food on the planet, honey never spoils. Archaeologists have discovered honey sealed in ancient tombs, thousands of years old, still perfectly edible. That makes it not just food, but a survival miracle. But honey isn't just about longevity. It's calorie-dense, nutrient-rich, and filled with natural sugars that deliver instant energy when your body is pushed to the edge. One spoonful can fuel your brain, steady your nerves, and give you the strength to keep going when others collapse. In survival, that burst of energy can mean the difference between pushing forward or giving up. What makes honey terrifyingly valuable, though, is its role as medicine. Its antibacterial and antifungal properties make it a natural remedy for wounds, burns, and infections, when doctors and pharmacies are unreachable. A spoonful can soothe a sore throat, calm a cough, or act as a healing balm when supplies run dry. In a world without hospitals, honey becomes both food and first aid in a single jar. But here's the catch. When panic sets in, honey is one of the first items people grab. Parents hoard it for their children. Families stockpile it for comfort. Survivalists recognize its healing power. And just like that, shelves are stripped bare. Once it's gone, it's gone. If you wait until September 15th, you'll see empty shelves where the honey used to be. And you'll realize you missed your chance. Secure it now, while you still can. Because in the chaos ahead, honey won't just be food, it will be life insurance, energy, and medicine in a single jar. The clock is ticking, and the warning signs are everywhere. Supply chains are cracking, shelves are thinning, and September 15th, 2025 may be the day when life as we know it changes forever. You've now seen the 15 survival foods that could decide whether you and your family stay strong or fall victim to hunger and chaos. But here's the truth most people refuse to face. When panic erupts, you won't have time to think, to plan, or to run to the store. By then, the shelves will already be stripped bare. Eggs, rice, water, dehydrated meals, honey, all gone in hours. Families will be left desperate, fighting over scraps, while the prepared sit safely behind locked doors with food, security, and peace of mind. The choice is brutally simple. You can ignore the warnings, pretend you have more time, and gamble with your future, or you can act today. Every item you stockpile before the deadline is another weapon against hunger, another shield against desperation, another step toward survival. When the lights go out and the shelves stand empty, there will be no second chances. Prepare now, because after September 15th, it may already be too late.